first thing I'd like to say is that I'm here because I'm terrified of public speaking.
Yes!
That's the one. And that's why I walk into that. Okay, this is I want to talk about the day that changed my life forever. About 3.5 years ago, I still am a writer. At the time, I was writing for EastEnders. I wrote for EastEnders for 10 years, and I wrote for lots of other programs on television. And it just wasn't feeding my soul. There was something about that rat race of working for the BBC and writing lines that didn't inspire me anymore, characters that didn't interest me. As soon as I stopped writing for EastEnders, I stopped watching it completely because I never wanted to watch it in the first place. But anyway, so I kind of walked away from it, and it kind of walked away from me, and I was left in this void, this place where I felt like a nothing. I had no money, I had no status. My friends were behind me, and I didn't know what the hell I was going to do with my life. And I tried various things, and nothing was working. And it got to my dark night of the soul. And literally, I was in my bedroom, and I just felt that there was just darkness in front of me. And I remember looking up to God. I'm not religious, but I found God that night. And I said, what the fuck do I do with my life? And I was in complete despair. And that same week, my sister called me, and she said that her friend Yvonne has a daughter called Samantha. And I knew Samantha when she was a teenager. Well, Samantha was now about 36, and she had 3 children. And she was dying in hospital of ovarian cancer. And I hate hospitals with a vengeance, and it just kind of like, it's like kryptonite. It just sucks all my energy away from me, and I try to avoid hospitals. But because I knew her, and I couldn't imagine anybody that young dying, I went to the hospital. Anyhow, I got there, and Samantha was tight. It was connected to all the tubes, all the morphine, the drips, and the catheter, and all sorts of things. And she had her eyes closed, her mouth was open, and she was going like this. So she looked almost gone. And her mother said to me that the day before, she could at least respond. If you asked her a question, she would squeeze your hand, yes or no. But today there was nothing. She was just lying there. Anyhow, I've always been interested in self-development, self-improvement, healing, all these things. But it was a kind of side burner whilst I was earning a living as a writer. So this whole world of improving ourselves, believing that we're all connected, alternative ways of looking at our existence. All of this was in my vocabulary, but that was it. But anyway, something just overcame me, and I knew I had to stand over Samantha and just put my hands near her abdomen. Something just told me this intuitively. And I did it kind of, so it looked as though I was standing there just with my hands hovering in a sort of caring kind of way. And I felt this immediate pain in my hands, the palm of my hands. It was burning, it was tingling, it wasn't anything that I'd felt before. It wasn't something that I could kind of talk myself out of. It wasn't a sort of mental thing, it was real. And I stood there trying to work out what this thing was. And as I was standing there, the doctor came and took away the mother, Yvonne, and the sister who were at the bedside, took them away. And what I didn't know at the time was that the doctor was saying, call everyone, call the relatives, because she's going right now. Actually, no, before then, the palliative care nurse came and examined her on the other side, and then she went and got the doctor. The doctor examined her, and that's when he took the mother and the sister away. And they closed the curtains around me, so I was on my own with her. and this stream of stuff just started coming out of my mouth. It wasn't something I thought, it bypassed my brain, it just started coming out my mouth. And I was saying things like, Samantha, I know you don't want to die, this is energy here that I'm feeding to you. If you take this energy, I don't know how you're going to receive it, but if you take this energy, I swear you'll get better. And I kept saying this over and over and over again, like a mantra. And then the curtain swished open, and it was my sister. My sister came to visit, but she hadn't been for a while, so she didn't know the state Samantha had got to at that point. And as the curtain swished open, Samantha's eyes just popped open, and the smile just came on her face, and she opened both her arms, and she said, Jasmine. And my sister, because she didn't know any better, she just ran into her arms and hugged her. And at that point, the nurses came back, the doctor came back, the mother, the sister, all of them just completely agog. And they said, Jasmine, what have you done? My God, what have you done? And I was so shocked that, and I've got low blood pressure, I just sank to the floor, and I had an apple in my bag. And it was this bizarre scene where there's this woman on the bed, there are all these people surrounding her, and there's my sister receiving all of this attention, and I'm on the floor eating an apple and to give me some sugar. And the extraordinary thing is that she asked for a drink, and she couldn't do this. She asked for a drink, and they gave her a drink, and she held the bottle, and she put it to her lips. And she looked at everybody. She said, why are you all staring at me? And then her phone rang, and she said, I want to answer that. And they put the phone near her head, and she had her voice was very weak, but she had a conversation on the phone. So all of this was going on, and everyone was trying to take this in, and I struggled to my feet. And I said, Samantha, it's me, Carmen. I didn't know whether she'd heard all that stuff I was saying. I said, it's me, Carmen, and I'm going now. If you want, I'll come tomorrow. And she looked at me, and she said to everybody, she said, isn't she beautiful? That's all she said. Anyhow, I went home, and I was just completely just out of my head, running this movie over and over and over again, not understanding what the hell was going on. I told my partner couldn't make it head or tail of it. And every time I thought about Samantha, my hands were just burning again. So I tried to sleep, couldn't sleep. About 2 o'clock in the morning, I went downstairs, and the phone was flashing with a message. And I thought, oh God, you know, obviously something's happened to her, and it's not good. And it was my sister, and she'd written a text, and it said, you never guess what. Samantha got up out of her bed, pulled her catheter, pulled her morphine trip thing, and went to the toilet unaided. And so at that point, I rang my sister and told her what had happened, and she said, wow, well, it all made sense now. No one could figure it out. So anyway, I went to the hospital the next day, and the mother welcomed me with open arms, and she cleared everybody away and said, let Carmen come in and do her thing. And I didn't know what my thing was, but you know, I sort of did all this hand waving and stuff, and then the thing in my hands came back. And Samantha, when I saw her, she had her hair tied, and she had makeup on, and she was sitting up in bed, and I said, my God, who did that? And she said, I did. She'd actually put her own makeup on, and I said to her, you know, if you want to get better, we can try together to help you to survive this, because the doctors initially had said, if she leaves this hospital in an ambulance, she won't survive. That's how bad she was. And there she was, sitting up with makeup on. And so anyway, I threw everything I knew at her, you know, visualization and this thing that I did, and talking and so on. And one of the things that I did was this visualization, and she said she saw a waterfall going through the air and stopping in midair. And I said to her, well, when that waterfall touches the ground, you'll know that you've let go of whatever you're holding on to, because illness doesn't come out of nowhere. It's through a long sequence of emotional repression. I knew this much, emotional repression. And whatever you're holding on to, you've got to find a way of letting it go. I don't mean giving up, but letting go of it. And when you let go, you'll know that, the waterfall will have hit the ground. Anyway, cut a long story short, she ended up a week later being given the all clear to go home. Obviously, she's still terminal, but she can go home. So she went home, and all her friends, all her family, everybody was around her. There was lots of good food, there was love, there were the Macmillan nurses, and she started sorting out her affairs, getting her affairs in order, because she had an estranged husband, and she wanted to sort out her children. So that's what she did when she was at home, and I would go every day and I'd visit her and I'd do this business around her and just feel whatever it was I felt in my hands. And anyhow, one day, a further week later, I went, and she was sitting up in the chair and she had her eyes closed and she was completely drugged up. So I just kind of tiptoed around her and started doing this, and there was nothing in my hand. And I thought, oh God, what's this? I've lost it. Whatever it is, it's gone. So, and then I realized, no, something else has happened. And her mother was in the kitchen, and we'd had this discussion where I'd said, why don't you take her out in the wheelchair for her to get some sun? And the Macmillan nurse said, yeah, that's a fantastic idea. She seems to be so, improving so much. And I went to the mother and I said, you have to, we all want her to get better, but we have to entertain the idea also that she might not, or she might decide that she's had enough. So, I don't want to squash your hopes, but, you've got to look at the other side of the picture as well. And that was a really difficult conversation I had with her. And it was all down to me not feeling whatever. Now I know what this means, but then I just had this omen about her, something happening to her. So anyway, I went home, and apparently at 12 o'clock that night, she asked her mother to, she gathered all her sisters and mother and children around, and she told everyone that she loves them, and she's not particularly that type of person, but she told everyone she loved them. And also she asked her mother to splash her with water, and she was joking and laughing and saying things like, stupid, you got it in my eyes, not in my eyes, and so on. Anyway, 12 o'clock that night, she passed away. 12 o'clock, that's when that happened. And then 2 o'clock that morning, she passed away peacefully. And with all this love and everything around her. Anyhow, the mother couldn't thank me enough and wrote me loads of emails and phone called me and so on. And she said to me, it's just been playing on my mind and I don't understand it, but this thing with her splashing with the water. And I said, well, I don't know. She asked me to splash her face with the water. And I said, I don't know. And then I thought, oh my God, that waterfall had touched the ground, and she wanted an expression of it on her face. And that just gave me goosebumps, because whatever it was she was holding on to, she finally let it go and she went to peace. And it taught me that healing isn't just about someone getting better. It's about getting that person out of that emotional turmoil into a place of peace, so that they can just be who they were always meant to be. And ever since that day, I've learned a lot about myself. I've learned a lot about this ability that came to me, God-given, and I've now become a healer. I'm still a writer, and I'm writing about my experiences, but from that day onwards, I never looked back. I became a healer, I am a healer, and it's the most wonderful privilege that I've ever had in my life, and it all came out of me just swearing at God and asking him to let me know what I should do in my life.